we're recording now. Welcome everybody. Great to see you. Some people I have not seen in a long time. Good seeing you here. And the goal that we have with the session today is to talk about team coaching. And originally, these sessions were designed for graduates of our team coaching program, for participants to have a space to continue learning. So the idea is that these sessions complement what people have learned in the team coaching program. But interestingly, here today, we have 9 people, and none of the people here are graduates from the program. So
I graduated.
Maya, I didn't see you. You need to open your camera.
I can't.
Okay.
I will in 10 minutes, though.
Okay. So Maya, I'm sorry. You're right. I didn't see you, so I didn't realize that. So Maya, great to have you here. So what we're going to do is I am going to give you a little bit of background of what is the team coaching approach for ICF. And then after that, I will present a case, a real case. And we're going to imagine that you're being hired as a team coach and you need to work with this team. And most of you may have not had any team coaching training. It doesn't matter. The question is, what do you think you would do with this? Okay, what do you think we would do with the situation? And then I'm going to share what I did. So is it clear what is the plan? Going to share only like 10 minutes background information so you get to understand what is team coaching following the International Coach Federation framework. Then I will share with you a case that I worked with, like I will give you some data, and then you will work with that and play together with that, and then you will see what happened. So let me start by sharing my slides. So let's see. Okay. Can you see the presentation well? In the presentation mode?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so what is the ICF definition of team coaching? And basically, ICF follow 8 competencies for team coaching, like for coaching. So they are the same competencies, but focused on teams. But the idea is that team coaching is a partnering tool. But let's see some of the differences between ICF definition of coaching and team coaching. Is a partnering in a co-created and reflective process. So far that sounds familiar. With a team and its dynamics and relationships in a way that inspires them to maximize their abilities and potential in order to reach their common purpose and shared goals. So if you look at this definition, it's associated and related to the definition of coaching, focusing on teams. But the key element here is that in this partnering, and again, ICF philosophy is about partnering. In this partnering process that is co-creative, we are looking to support the team to maximize abilities and potential to reach their common purpose and shared goals. So our goal as team coaches is to create that space where the team can reflect on their work, on themselves. Many teams don't have this opportunity. And ICF differentiates and distinguishes team coaching from other modalities. So team coaching is not the same than team building, where the goal is to build trust for participants of the team, or training, where you train the team about what makes teams great, or about, or consultation, where you tell the team what to do. So here again, the role of the team is to create a space where the team can look at themselves in the mirror and say, okay, what is our strength? What are areas of opportunity, and what we can do to be more effective and accomplish our goals? So it's about going from good to great. So let me be sure that everybody is mute.
It's Damian.
Mute. Yeah, anybody has a question? Okay. When you have a question, please turn on your microphone and ask a question. Okay. So the idea is that if we go to the first core competency, it's about ethical issues. The idea is that here, if you compare here, the coaching competencies and the team coaching competencies are pretty similar. But the key difference is that we work with the team as an entity, as a single entity. So the whole team is your client, and the leader is part of the team, and you want to include the team leader as part of the interventions. So many times, if the team leader is not available, you may not work with the team. And so you want to be sure that the team leader is committed and engaged. And this is one of the challenges for team coaches, is that sometimes the leader may or may not be committed to the process. And sometimes the team leader may compete with the coach. So this relationship is unique and is different. And as a team coach, you need to learn how to leverage your relationship, how to build a strong relationship so you can work effectively. If you do not have a good alignment, a good contract, a good relationship with the leader, it's going to be very difficult to move forward effectively. And another key element in ethical issues is distinguishing team coaching from these other modalities that I was telling you before. And then be sure that you follow the ethical standards and values, integrity, transparency, confidentiality, all of that that we know that we need to do in coaching. So the idea is that when we're working with a team, we also need to demonstrate a coaching mindset. And the coaching mindset here, working with teams, is basically supervision. And the difference with supervision between coaching and team coaching is that for team coaching is mandatory. So Alicia, Jonathan here, you are supervisors, and I do believe that this is an opportunity for you in terms of offering team coaching supervision, because supervision for ICF is not mandatory, coaching is not mandatory in terms of supervision, but for team coaching it is. So to receive an accreditation with ICF, you need to receive supervision during the process, during your training. And then you need to show that you have at least 5 hours of supervision experience with the supervisor. And then later, when you need to renew your credential, you also need to show that you have supervision. So then we have the skills around building the relationship, building trust and presence are the same. The 3 competencies about agreement, trust and presence are similar for team coaching. A key element is particularly working with teams is very important. Spending time in contracting is more important spending time in contracting with teams than with just one person, because there can be a lot of misunderstandings of what is the role of the team coach, what is team coaching. So it's spending time in clarifying expectations, clarifying what is and what is not team coaching is key for success. So here is where we need to spend a lot of time with teams, and always be contracting, ABC. Always be contracting. ABC means A, always, B for B, C, contracting. With the teams, we always need to be thinking, okay, what is what we need to do and what needs to be different, and have the conversation clear. So when you build the relationships and you need to build trust, one of the key elements is during this process in clarifying expectations. That's one of the ways that you build trust. By showing interest, by listening, by showing that you're understanding what's going on. Like in coaching, in team coaching is similar. The difference is that you need to build trust with the leader, with the team as a team, and then with each member. So it's much more complex. So this is one of the differences in team coaching, is more complex. So that's the reason why ICF encourage team coaches to work with a co-coach. Of course, when you're working with another colleague, there are also advantages and disadvantages. Sometimes working with another colleague may work. Sometimes you may have differences. So it's key that, again, you spend time together in contracting with each other, with your co-coach. But in this model of ICF, highly encourage co-coaching because of the complexity and the multiple elements that you need to pay attention when you're working with a team. So the idea is that when you are working with a team and you need to start building trust, first with the leader, most of the time you start working with teams through the leader. Maybe the leader who contacts you, or somebody from HR, or the boss of the leader who are contacting you for you to do this intervention and to work with the team. And so here, when you are building trust and getting to know the team and getting to know the organization, that the team, in the context of the organization, you will need to define if the team is ready for coaching. Because it may be that the team needs team building instead of team coaching or team consultation or training. If they are in the middle of a conflict, maybe team coaching is not the best approach. Remember, team coaching, like coaching, is not about fixing the team. It's not remedial. So if a team is under a lot of stress and there are a lot of problems, maybe team coaching is not the right intervention. Team coaching is to go from good to great versus fixing a team that is not working well. So I'm going to stop here. I'm sure half of the competencies, but if I continue talking about competencies, I will not have time to present the case. So in these first 10 minutes, I gave you some general ideas of the framework that ICF uses to work with teams. So I'm wondering what questions do you have so far before we jump into the case? So Jonathan, you have a question?
Yeah, I have two questions.
Yes.
So the first one, you just said team coaching is only for teams that are already good to get them to great. If that's the case, then what help do teams that are not already good need and get?
Yeah, well, this is the same thing with a leader. It's the same philosophy of leadership. Like when you have a leader, you want to go work with a leader that is doing well and want to prepare for the next job, want to prepare to go from good to great. Many times you are called because the leader is having problems, okay? But that's not the ICF philosophy. That does not mean that you end doing sometimes work with leaders who need to be better. So with teams is the same. If the team, you will need to see if you do have the skills to work with the team, or if the team is under a lot of conflict, maybe they need a consultant. They need somebody to come and work with them to provide guidelines about what they need to do to be more effective. Or it depends how ineffective is the team, or what are other elements that you will need to assess if the team is or not ready to work with you, or if you are the right person. So here a key element is assessment. And we're going to start working with that. It's your assessment and your decision-making if you are going to work with the team or not. But if you think that the team is not ready for coaching, you have to be careful, because I have seen in the past as a supervisor, coaches working with teams, that the teams were not ready for coaching and they were not successful because they were not set up for success.
Mm-hmm.
Make sense? So you want to be
Yeah.
sure that you do whatever you need to do in contracting to set up for success.
Yeah. I'll save my other question for another time.
No, go ahead. What is that one?
Well, I was just curious also, because I've seen different versions of, obviously the team is front and center in team coaching, but I've heard different approaches to, as part of team coaching, is there coaching for the leader? Is there potentially coaching for team members in service of the team? And so I was curious where you think that, what you do with that.
That's a great question. There are different positions about this. And I am curious here. I'm going to ask the questions to everybody here, because this is your personal approach. Like, would you coach a team and the leader and some members? Or would you rather just coach the team and get another coach to work with the leader, another coach to work with team members? What would you do? What would you be? ICF does not say anything about that. So this is up to you. What would you do?
I think it's much more complex when you start to coach different pieces of the team. And if you have a co-coach and you're splitting it up, or a different coach, then there's the question of what's the contracting around confidentiality or not, and what are the expectations. I think there's a real risk of splitting and not delivering as much value if you can't share information, but then it needs to be part of the contract.
Excellent.
And that's why supervision is so important too, because it's so easy to get pulled into supporting the CEO or supporting the team member who's upset. And so it's messy.
Really messy, very, very messy. So that's the reason why some people loved it, because it's so messy, but not for everybody. You need to be able to be comfortable in this environment, because many times there are not white and black answers, or it's like what you're asking. The answer is it depends.
Yeah.
So people who knows me, that you know that I answer that question when I don't know what to say. I say it depends. So you know my secret. But here it depends on the context, and it depends on your skills, and also paying attention to your intuition. You know, like intuition is not very scientific, but if your intuition is telling you don't get to work with this team, run away, because probably it's not a good idea for you to work with this team. So you need to pay attention to your intuition too. Now, going back to your question, what is a very good question, you had to assess different elements. There are advantages and disadvantages with each approach. The advantage when you work with the team and you also coach the leader and you may coach other people in the team is that you know everything that's going on. So you have a better context and a better understanding and more pieces from the puzzle. But at the same time, you don't maybe not need all of these pieces of the puzzle to understand and do your work. Can everybody see how advantages and disadvantages is like when you work internally for internal coaches? If you work internally in the organization, or in your case, like you work in the county, you have a lot of information about the people, and that has some advantages. But sometimes it has some disadvantages too, because sometimes you prefer not to know some of the things to do the work. So there are in each situation advantages and disadvantages. At the end of the day, it's good that you work with a supervisor to discuss the approach. What do you think would be the best approach? What is tricky in teams is how you start. So this is exactly, Jonathan, what you are, the question under the question is how you contract, how you're going to be working, what is your approach, what is your philosophy as a team coach? Because ICF gives you a framework, but you bring your own approach, your own philosophy. What is clear though, and if you eventually want to get your accreditation, I don't know if anybody here has already an accreditation, but if you will go for accreditation, there is a multiple choice. And the multiple choice is tricky because I get many questions about that. So what I am telling you is what ICF want you to answer. It's like with the coaching skills. Later, you know, Jonathan, people may still work with teams that are not going from good to great, but you need to know that this is the philosophy. Is everybody with me? Is everybody understanding what I am saying here? Is that the philosophy with teams in team coaching is that you help teams to go from good to great, to be more effective, to maximize their potential, to achieve their goals. If there is a lot in their way to get there, you may help them to navigate that and jump that, but sometimes they may need more than coaching. They may need some guidance, they may need some training, and this is what you need to evaluate. Sometimes team building, and by the way, ICF does not say that there is anything wrong with that. You can do all of that. So ICF acknowledge and recognize that teams need different things at different times. So all of these different interventions are under one umbrella that is team development. So under the umbrella of team development, you have team coaching, team building, team training, team consulting. Okay, so I wanted you to everybody to understand this, how this works.
Thanks.
Okay, great. So ready for the case? Any other questions before we move on? Any other questions about the philosophy or the competencies? There are very interesting, many interesting questions, Jonathan, in that area that you were asking.
There's a question in the chat.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw it.
No. Paola, on your coach should also be team coach certified. Okay. To be certified by the ICF, the team coach needs to be certified as a coach by ICF first to get the credential. So in this moment that I know, ICF and EMCC and AC are the three organizations that are providing team coaching certifications. I don't know if there is any other one. I know about these three. And I know that, I don't know for EMCC, but for ICF, if you want to get your accreditation with ICF as a team coach, you need to have an ICF credential first. I think for EMCC, maybe not. I heard somebody saying that they will let somebody who is coming to my team. I'm starting a new team coaching program, and the person who is going to come have a conversation with the EMCC, and even my program is approved by ICF and not approved by EMCC. EMCC will recognize their certification anyway, and they will be able to apply for a credential with EMCC. So that's what I learned.
And when you work with a co-coach,
yes,
as you said, do we need to be sure that they are also certified? even I mean, I know a lot of executive coaches, but not all of them are team coaching certificate.
Certified. Yeah, well, it will depend again on the context. Maybe that they don't have a certification, but they may have a lot of experience. So it depends. You will have to evaluate if you want to work with somebody that is or not accredited, if you're accredited or. Now, for when you apply for a credential, it's not like for coaching that you need to send recordings. It's a different approach. But if you go to a program that is approved for ICF, you do need to send recordings and get feedback. It's a requirement to get 2 sessions of 2 recordings and 2 feedback sessions as part of the training. So,
Okay.
but when you apply for your accreditation with ICF, you don't need to send recordings. Is that clear? You
Yes.
shall do it. There are some requirements, and you need to do the multiple choice test. And if you go to a program that is approved by ICF, you need to get feedback at least twice. So in the program that I am teaching that follow ICF requirements, you get to work with a team outside the program, and you need to record that, and then you work with a team inside the program, and you get feedback twice in these two occasions. Everybody ready for the case? Okay, I want you to take note because I'm going to make you work. So pay attention. So I'm going to give you a little bit of information. And with the information that I give you, I want you to come up with some hypotheses about what's going on and what you may do. And now I see here we have with us somebody else, another graduate. Olga, welcome. So I will put you in different groups so you can help a little bit people to come up with some ideas. So let me share with you. Okay, I see one more question from Jonathan. Even if the coach is certified, they may have a different style of team coaching. Can be helpful to discuss style and philosophies of team coaching and make sure the approaches seems to be aligned. Great point. Okay, so let me share my slide, the next slide. This is a real team, real experience. I don't know why this came here. Should come here. Okay, this is a team based in the USA. And I did this in person, and the team have 10 participants. They are from different ages, generation, different gender, ethnicity. Some have been in the university working for many years, some are new. And I had been coaching the leader for a while, and the leader told me that she wanted me to do the team coaching with the team. And I said, well, I can refer you to somebody else. And she said, no, I wanted you to do it. And I felt that I could do it. So I decided to accept the invitation in this case. And by the way, this is a very common scenario where you work and you are working with a leader, and the leader asks you to coach the team too. So you may need to decide if you feel that you can do it or you would rather get somebody else to do it. In this case, I decided that I felt that I could do it, and we did have a good experience. So this is a fundraising team for this college, and the team needs to come up with there are some specific goals in terms of amount of money that they need to fundraise for the college every year. So as a whole team, all of them have a number that they need to reach together as a unit. So this is another key element between a team and a group. Many times in organizations, there are people who work in groups, but they don't need each other to be able to be successful. In here, they needed to support each other and help each other, and they were involved in different projects and activities in different ways. But the idea is that they were all collaborating. The collaboration was key for success. So this is a key difference between groups and teams. So we need to be sure that in this context, we are talking about teams and working with teams. And this team has a lot of contextual challenges because in the education system, I don't know how many of you are involved in education in universities, there is a decline in enrollment across the country in the United States. People are going less to universities. They are doing more stuff, shorter programs, programs that people are self-educating themselves through YouTube and at home. So the enrollments are decreasing in particular in the United States. So colleges are struggling with that. The 10 members have a leader that they really like. They have a good relationship with this leader. They have been the leader for 15 years. And when I was working with the leader, I was working with the leader to be more effective at strategic thinking and delegating were some of the things that I was working with the leader. But recently, there were high level of attrition because of the stress. People has at work a lot of stress because of the nature of the work. They need to come up with these numbers, they need to come up with these goals. So this leader had brought to individual coaching what she could do to be a better leader, to support the team in a better place. So through some of the coaching, she introduced some initiatives, social gatherings, outings, meals, different things to support the team so they can collaborate and be more effective. But still, the environment is very stressful. And sometimes as a result of that, there are some tensions, and that level of stress make that maybe some here and there conflict, interpersonal conflict, and some challenges in relationship between people. Sometimes the leader is not present. The leader, and I learned all of that because the leader told me all of that before she hired me as a team coach. And also I interview all of the participants of the team for 30 minutes. So the leader is committed, people like the leader, but it's not all the time there because it's involved in other projects, and part of the strategic organization's vision is to have an international presence. So there are a lot of trips outside the country and is not present physically. So team members are very dedicated, but as I said before, they are exhausted. So I want to stop here. So I gave you some information about this team. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you to 3 different groups, and I am going to ask you to, based on what you learned about this team, I would ask you, what do you think would be your plan? Let's imagine that I am the HR person from this university, and I am contacting you and telling you I want you to come to work for this team. And I wonder, this is what's happening with the team. What do you suggest? How would you work with this team? What would you do? What would be your approach? So I'm going to say one more time. The question for you is, with the information that you have, how would you design an approach to work with this team? So let me send you to, so I need to remove my, let me see. I'm wondering if we should, thinking aloud here. Okay. Let's be back in 10 minutes. Let's see what you come up with. What would be the intervention? What would you do with this team?
Helpful that we were teamed up with Maya because she had, coached her first team. And so it's really good to see, firsthand experience, like how that went. And, but yeah, the discussion was really, really helpful, I think, on my end, because I got a glimpse on, understanding, how to think about it in a team dynamic versus one-on-one with just an individual, where it's very clear what the goal is for the session versus, you have a bunch of people and then you think a team is good and you want to make them great, but maybe they don't start off as good, but even though you think they are, right? So seeing how Maya kind of organized herself to understand, the team and where they are was really helpful.
So this is one of the things that you want to start doing when you're working with a team is start assessing. Is the team ready to do the work? What are the strengths and what are the weaknesses? No, as a place to start, like when you do with an executive coaching with a leader, that you would look, okay, what are the strengths and how they can leverage the strength, and also from a positive psychology perspective, looking at strength and see how they can leverage the strength versus just looking about what is not working. So we can have a similar approach here. Okay, see what is a team strength. And also the metaphor that I like to use is all the time show the team, put the mirror to the team. It's like you're bringing a mirror and putting the mirror to the team so the team can see themselves in the mirror. And when they see the team in the mirror, sometimes they don't like what they see. And sometimes they don't want to look at the mirror. But when they get to see themselves working at the mirror, they can start seeing things they were not seeing before. So this is one of the key elements in coaching teams and individuals, is bringing awareness and learning and knowledge, but mainly bring a higher level of consciousness, going to bring the consciousness to the higher level, awareness about what are the blind spots, what they are not seeing that would allow them to be more effective. So this is a little bit the philosophy where we're going. From that group, anybody, Dan or Maya, do you want to say anything before we go to room number 2?
I'm good. That covers it. Thank you.
Great. So Janelle, Marjorie, Olga, Paola, who would like to share?
Let the team talk.
Okay, you want to go?
No, what about we get Paola to talk?
I am not a team coach. So from the perspective of our team, there was a part 0 to be addressed, which is the one-on-one meetings and assessment. Second step was to work around purpose, then alignment and expectations. What's okay to priorities to address stressful situations and attritions in the team members. That was kind of the plan.
Okay, great. So the first element where you're assessing, ideally, if possible, you want to interview all members. Why? Because you want to build a relationship with them. When you are interviewing and spending time one-on-one with each member, even if that may take time, you get to know them, they get to know you, you get to build trust, and you get to know what is in their minds. Now, not all members are going to be as open to you. Some may start telling you more than what you want to hear, and some may not share anything, so it will depend on the personalities. But the goal is to collect data. And then once you have all of that data collected, you present it to the team. And you have to be careful when you do that. It's like you want to be sure that you protect confidentiality of who says what. So as I shared before, we're starting cohort 12. Coming up is the next cohort open. And do you know what? In cohort number 2, there was one of the participants that when they did the evaluation, they share the report to the team without changing anything in the wording of the comment. And people realize who said what, and it was very problematic. Can you see how that can be very not good for the team? So instead of helping you, that's an example where you can do something that is not good for the team. Instead of helping, brings more problems. So it's very important that you protect that confidentiality, that when you report back, you mix the information. And do you know what? Now we have AI. So, you don't put any names of anything. You put all of the information, and AI gave you a summary of everything. Save you a lot of time. You have to be very careful. No, we're not sharing any confidential information, any names of the organization or the people or anything. You should put the data and come up with some themes to present very much faster. Can everybody see the advantage of that? The disadvantage is like everything, is that because AI does it for you, you are not that familiar with the themes. Because when you read the themes and you need to summarize them and come up with them, you become very familiar with them. It's very different when you just read the summary. Can you see that the difference in that's the same thing today with 360 for leaders. Similarly, today with 360s is the same when you're doing one-on-one, working with one person, you collect data from different people for one person instead of for a team. Okay, so these are our ways to start. Olga?
Damian, we couldn't finish a conversation, but I think that it would probably be worth it to put it here, and is context. So to have a contextual understanding, which is outside of the organization. So in this case in particular, because we're talking about a college and what they have is a decline on individuals registering and enrolling, I was suggesting that one of the steps that we can try to do is kind of a parallel work with them to figure it out information about the stakeholders, understanding that the stakeholders are also the students or the parents of the students or the community. So then I don't know how I will put it on a plan, but I believe that this will be fundamental for them to achieve their goal.
Yeah, that's a good, what we have done was a SWOT analysis. So we look at the strengths and weaknesses of the team internally, but then you go externally and you look at externally what are the opportunities and what are the challenges. And in these opportunities, one of the opportunities is to understand better the stakeholders and see how that can play in the process. So, and sometimes you can even interview some of the stakeholders as part of the process to better understand the team. That's another possibility. Thank you, Olga. And the last team with Jonathan, Lalian, Silvana, who would like to share?
I was elected.
Okay.
And one comment also, because I'm curious what you think about this, Damian. One option is AI does the summary or the coach does the summary. It seems to me another option is the team does the summary. It can be really valuable to put raw data, with your concerns about, is it sanitized? But what do you make of this? What do you think the themes are? Can be really helpful. I think.
Like it. I have never done it that way, but that's great. What I did is after okay, let me finish hearing you and then let me share what I did because we have 5 minutes to wrap up.
Yeah.
Anything else, Jonathan, that you want to share?
So yeah, I mean, one thing we recognized is that often, especially with team coaching, we don't know what we don't know when we start. And so, as you said, one reason to do the one-on-one interviews is to start to build rapport and trust, but also to understand, are people seeing the same issues or different issues if they're willing to share with us? And also to find out what their appetite for team coaching is. It's much better to know at the very beginning who's on board or who's not on board than later on. So there was that. I think the idea of it's presented as potentially the issue is we need to raise more money, but how compelling is that as a purpose? Money in service of what? Do they need help understanding what it is that's really going to motivate them? We also recognize that
By the way, excellent point. I want to clarify that because they have a number that they need to reach as a team. That's the productivity part. And this is what stressed them out, but they have a very interesting vision for the university. And I'm wondering at that time, was wondering how clear that was for them. And this is something that we as team coaches, we can do that. The team may not be aware. They may have forgotten the values and the mission and why they are there. So that can be part of our job. Can everybody see that also as part of the team coach opportunity? Yeah.
Also, the way it was presented, it would be tempting to think that the issue or a major issue is the absence of the team leader. And we recognize that could be true, and it might not be a big factor.
Excellent point, because sometimes it's easier also. There are two possibilities. When you are called by a company or an organization to coach the team, is that when you get to meet the team, you realize that who needs coaching is not the team. The person who needs coaching is the team leader. Like many times happened in leadership, that you are called by an organization to lead, to coach a leader, and you realize that the person who needs the coaching is the boss of this leader, not the leader. Okay? So here is the same. So you need to pay attention to that. That's a possibility. But sometimes also the leader is the scapegoat.
Yeah.
It's like everything is because of the leader. And it may or may not be the case. So we need to pay attention to that.
And then what I think one last major thing is how do people come to be part of this team? And if the goal is for them to raise more money, is this something they enjoy doing? Is this something they feel good at? Do they feel like they have the resources to do it? Often on boards and other teams, there's the expectation, but people they're not good at it. They don't like doing it. And so I think there's something potentially to explore around that as well.
Excellent. And can everybody see how interesting this is? Because you collect data, and this is just a little piece. Imagine when you collect a lot of data from each person. You have a few pages for each person. Okay, what do you do with so much information? So from all of that, you need to go to see what is key. And do you know what? Sometimes, as Jonathan, you were saying, you as a team coach are not the one to decide. You just bring the issues and you ask the team, okay, what do you want to do with this? And sometimes I like, other than interviews, to do some dynamics and some exercises that are more related to consulting or team building, that not necessarily are team coaching, but allow team coaching later to grow. And by the way, I say if it's okay for you to do mix different things. They don't say you cannot do that, but you need to know what you're doing. That's it. It's like with coaching and you go to consulting mode, it never ever said, okay, you cannot go there. Sometimes this is what the client wants, and this is completely okay to do it. Just I say, don't send that session for evaluation for ACF, but that doesn't mean that in the right time and in the right place, you may need to provide some guidance or advice, or if you're not attached to it. Now, here, before we finish, I want to share what I did. I love Lego, so I get them to work with Lego. So I have a meeting with them, and I said, okay, let's build a structure that represents the team. So this is a really nice exercise. So if you do have some experience with Lego, if you want to be creative, you're artistic, highly recommend eventually in all of the trainings that you can do. Working with Lego is fun. So first, if they can never work first you ask them to build a tower, any tower, and then just to get familiarized with the pieces, and then they had to build whatever you ask them to build. So I asked them to build a structure that represents the team. And with that, I collected data. And there with them, and we all analyzed that. And then I presented them the results from the interviews. So that was the process. The process was first meeting with the leader, collecting data, first meeting one-on-one, building trust with all of the participants, collating data, coming up with a summary, meeting with the team together, explain again what was team coaching, ask them for this exercise, discuss the result, discuss the results from the interview, and as a team, decide, okay, what do we do with this? Where do we want to focus on? What should be a couple of goals as a team that we can have to go from good to great? They came up with these two goals, and then in three, there were 10, so there were three and four. They came up with 3 plans of action. What can be done to deal with these issues, these 2 goals, and they together agreed with a series of things that they were going to be doing. After that, I went and I observed a couple of sessions. So you can do team coaching by observing sessions, shadowing sessions, and intervening during the sessions. This is what I did. Like I was observing and I said, when I think I have some process comment that may be helpful, can I make them? And they said, yes. So I would observe the team working and I make some process comments. At the beginning of the session, I ask them, okay, what would be the goal for this session today from me? What do you need from me? What do you want me to pay attention to? And then I will make a couple of comments. And then at the end, I will say, okay, what did you learn today? Now, following the process of a team coaching session will be many times like that. It's like a process comment, questions that you may ask the team to reflect, and you then let the team work and do the work that they need to do. And then I will follow up with whatever they committed to do. And then over the month, what happened around them didn't change, but how they were dealing with that change. So it was better communication, better tools to deal with stress, because the nature of the stress would not change. This is the job, this is the nature of what they do. But there was another issue that didn't come up at the beginning, is that new people were not embraced well. So that's the reason why some of the new people didn't stay, because there was a lot of stress and they were not feeling that there was enough work done to embrace new participants. So that was one of the learnings from the process, and that's something that changed. And as a result of that, people stay longer. So this is a summary of what happened with this team. So you get a flavor of this. And I'm so glad to see Maya and Olga, who are graduates from the program, who are here just to refresh some of the stuff that you learned. And we're going to be having these meetings every other month. We're going to have these sessions, and we'll have different people presenting cases. Like some of you have seen Inga presenting in the past, or Tracy and Larissa, Susie. So we rotate and we present cases. So why not Maya, Olga? Maybe you will present next time. I want to challenge you to, because you have been doing that now for a while. You may share, like here. You see that I didn't share many details. I didn't disclose a lot of information. I just created a context to think about team coaching based on a teamwork. But I didn't disclose a lot of information, so you don't have to do that. Any questions before we go? We're running more than 1 hour now, but any questions from what you heard? So if any questions come up later, you know where to find me. We have a program starting in March. So if anybody's interested, let me know and I will send you the details. And I hope to see you in our next session. And so we have opportunities to keep learning. Also, for experienced coaches, we have a supervision program starting in March too, and we have a demo as part of the program and Silvan is part of that program. Is next week on Tuesday, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you're curious or interested about supervision and you want to see a supervision demonstration in action, one of our colleagues, Linda Hendrickson, will be doing a demo. And Jonathan, you have not done that for us. You need to be next. We need to talk about that. You need to come to do a demo for the program. So it's great seeing everyone. Thank you for coming and joining today.
Yeah.
And let's keep in communication, okay? Take care. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Damian.
Thank you.
Damian. That was so good to see you.
Good to see you too. Good to see everyone.
Bye.